We're using all of summer's bounty with sweet corn, tomatoes, and basil to make a delicious, quick pasta. Great for a weeknight. It can be made in 30 minutes or less, and I'm gonna hold myself to that. So let me walk you through each step so you can make this and feel like you are in the Midwest just like I am. Let's go. It's all about summer pasta and it's all about sweet corn. So in Iowa, where I live, where I grew up, we still raise lots of sweet corn. Iowa is known for their sweet corn. We love it. In the heart of the summer, you start having the best sweet corn. I love the speckled varieties personally. This is what we always grew growing up and what we still often grow because it has that sweetness. And when it's really in season, you want to find all the ways to use it. You can eat it every night. You can just eat it right off the cob. You can make all the other things, but you know what's really fun to make with it? A quick summer pasta. And yes, it can be delicious in pasta to actually be the sauce and part of the pasta itself. And we're gonna use everything that the summer has. We're gonna use fresh basil. I ran out to the garden right before this video and I picked the tomatoes. I picked both types of tomatoes, by the way. These are sun sugar and these are black strawberry tomatoes. Both of them are my favorite. Any tomato that you were gonna have that you can find is gonna work for this because it is in season, it is ripe and it is delicious. So once we have all those components, what we wanna start with is pasta. So I have my water boiling and I just want to get the pasta cooking because honestly, this all goes together pretty quickly. So if we can get the pasta going, that's the first step. So I'm going to make sure to salt the water really well. That's going to season your pasta. It's going to season the water. And then we're going to put in the pasta. Now I'm using cascatelli. I love this pasta. You can use any type of pasta that you like. I just like this because it grabs on and it really can hold on to everything we're going to put together. So I'm going to be letting this boil away. But what we're gonna start with now is the sauce. So I have some oil heating and I have some shallot here that I've been slightly mincing or more of a nice fine dice to it. And the reason I'm using shallot, you'll hear me say this, it has a lighter flavor than onion. So it has this ability to be a little bit sweeter, which works really well with the sweet corn. And I just really like shallot. Now, if you don't have shallot, I want my recipes to be approachable. Use what you have. If you have yellow onion, use it. If you have white onion, use it. Any of those are gonna work. So what we're gonna do is put the shallot right here in some oil, which you can see is getting nice and warm. And I want it to sizzle, I want it to saute and just start to soften. While that shallot is really softening, it's just beginning to get some color on it, which is what I like. I've been mincing up some garlic. Now, I love to use some fresh garlic in this because it gives it a nice bright flavor, but you wanna be sure to not cook the garlic the full time with that shallot. That can actually make it sometimes turn bitter, get a little bit burnt. And you don't want that. Instead, you want a little bit lighter cook on it. So I'm gonna add it right now because that shallot is just beginning, you can tell, to get a little bit of golden color on it. See all that beautiful color? That's when I wanna add in some garlic. I'm gonna make sure now to salt this too, just to start that seasoning layer because I like to layer all my seasonings. Now we're gonna let that garlic warm slightly, just, I'm gonna say slowly. We're gonna call it slowly with the shallot as we talk about the sweet corn. So what I'm doing with the sweet corn is cutting it off. Now, when my family cooks it and freezes it, we are a full-fledged, you cook it, you blanch it, then you chill it till it's cold, then you cut it off, then you freeze it. But for this, what we're doing is cutting it off fresh. We don't need to cook it first, we're gonna cut it off fresh. Now, I find it easiest with this. Some people like to use a bundt pan. I don't like to do that. In the kitchen, I think it's easier. If you cut some off, you make a flat edge, you can put it down, and then you have a flat surface, and you can just go all around the cob, and you can just start cutting it off. And it comes off in these nice long strips. This to me is the best memory I have growing up. When we would be freezing it, I would love to eat pieces of it because it stays in chunks. Now these cobs still have a lot of goodness. We're not gonna use them for this recipe, but these are great. You could freeze these and you could use these in corn chowder, in lots of different soups because they have so much of that corn milk in them that it really does make a huge difference. So what I'm gonna do is keep chopping this off and you can see it comes off in these beautiful shards. You do want to make sure that you're not going to get all the way down into that cob because that will be tough. Won't have the flavor that these kernels will. But now too, you can see up here, I didn't get quite down there. So I'm going to get up even to the tip of that. So see how simple it is to actually take it all apart like that. So now what I want to do, this is how quick and simple this really all is. I'm checking here and you can see that the garlic, it's fragrant. That's what I want. So now it's just been enough time, about 1 minute. So I'm gonna add in all this corn and we're gonna nicely cook it. The corn is starting to get some color, which I like. I want it to start getting a little bit brown on it. So we're gonna put in a little bit of red pepper flakes. Now you always know, I love red pepper. I think it does add a zing, it brightens it up, but guess what? You can lessen it or leave it out if you're really spice averse. A little bit of black ground pepper too. We're just gonna stir those in so they warm through, and now we're gonna do kind of a unique part of this recipe. And this is where I'm gonna take some of this corn, just get a little cup here, and take out some of the corn. Now we're leaving plenty in there that's gonna be part of the pasta. I'm turning it way down so it doesn't burn or anything. And what I'm gonna do is put it right into a larger measuring cup, or something you can blend in. You can put it into a canister blender too, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna put some heavy cream with it. So this is the idea of a quick, light sauce. Now it's a small amount of both, but this is gonna make a big difference in just like that perfect amount of sauce. So I'm just gonna blend it. I'm using an immersion blender. You can use canister, whatever works. So once that's blended, which doesn't take long, you can actually tell it gets a little bit thicker because you're actually blending that corn into it. And this is gonna be the base now of everything that we're making. So we're gonna pour this right back in to the corn. We're just gonna pour it right in there. Look how beautiful that is. So it's gonna coat it just enough. Our pasta's just about done. The tomatoes are diced up, and we'll soon just put this all together. That sauce is now coming together. The pasta is pretty much done. So what I'm gonna do is grab these tomatoes. Now I diced, you can see a mixture of the two, and I dip them into a nice bite-sized dice. And they're somewhat meatier tomatoes because they're smaller. If you're using a big tomato, you'd wanna take out the seeds so it's not quite so juicy. But we're gonna put these right into the sauce. They're gonna warm through, along with some Parmesan. And you need that grated Parmesan. You wanna freshly grate it because that's gonna have all that flavor that you want, all that seasoning, and then I just wanna stir this together. So I'm stirring this together just over low heat, and at first it looks like nothing special. But what we're gonna do is warm those tomatoes through, we're gonna melt that cheese, and then at the same time, we're gonna bring our pasta over, which just finished, and it's al dente, meaning we wanna finish it here in the sauce. So what I'm gonna do is just bring it right over, and I'm draining it only with a spider. Now you can drain it out, but the thing is, why I do this, is notice I'm not really adding a lot of pasta water, but I'm letting it sit on whatever's on the pasta, so that will help loosen this up. But you can always use whatever amount of this pasta water you want to really create the best sauce. So I'm bringing over the last of the pasta. And like I said, reserve the water if you need to, because then as we're stirring this together over low heat, if we need to, we can add some of that beautiful water, which will also help tighten it. But there's just enough water, I think, on this pasta that it's really kind of forming, and you can see it starting to stick to that pasta. So we're gonna finish it here for just about a minute while that pasta soaks in the sauce, and we're ready to serve. It's been about a minute, so the pasta's done. And this is what I love. It's a big comfort bowl of pasta. You have the corn, you have those beautiful tomatoes, and to finish it off, we need, of course, some basil. So I went out to the garden. I have my basil from out in the garden, and this basil and corn works so well together. I mean, you're gonna find so many recipes that use these two because it just works well. And I think that's the thing, when you pick things that are in season together, they just sing, and that's what this is doing. So I'm just tearing some basil leaves in there. I'm adding them whole or fresh or torn, whatever you kind of like. And I wanna stir them in because instead of cooking the basil hard with that sauce during the whole cooking process, which would really start to brown the basil, overcook it, and kind of muddle its flavor, this is gonna have that fresh flavor of the basil right at the end, which is what you want. So now we can just serve it up. This pasta is like ready to go. It's a big, beautiful bowl of like comfort food / hearty food. This is great for lunch or dinner. I mean, hey, if you're having people over, I find this is always a crowd pleaser. You have the pieces of tomato, you have that corn, and then if we put a little bit of fresh Parmesan on top, does that not look beautiful? Maybe another like small little bit of some fresh basil, because why not? Just to let people kind of know, and you're ready to go. This is such a happy meal, and it's one that gives you a hug. I feel like it's a good Midwestern meal too, because it uses so much of what we love about the summer. Okay, I have to go in again. What I love, it's almost light in nature, even though there's that heavy cream in there. The heavy cream hugs to all of the pasta. It encompasses the corn and brings out the sweetness of the corn. You get the beautiful sweetness of the tomatoes that meld with that basil, and it all just works together in kind of this beautiful symphony of a great meal. So what do I hope you do with this? I hope you're excited and inspired to use corn in maybe a new way. Maybe you haven't tried corn with pasta. That's what this is all about. And if this is new for you, share this video so other people can see something that might be new to them too, but full of flavor, full of delicious value, and full of summer's goodness. You know, as we start winding down the summer season, we have to really soak in all those things that make us feel summer, because it's those moments, those foods, those memories, they're what tie us to the season, what make us feel excited. That's what this is all about, tying us to the summer season, using it for the beautiful pasta dish that will really keep this season going. So share it around, check my website, wiseguide.com, for this recipe and all my other recipes. And until next time, use summer's produce, make something delicious, and be happy.